Hi, I'm Madison. My story is a crazy roller coaster. I hope you don't mind going for a ride. My dad died a few months before I was born. Mom had to raise me on her own. We barely made ends meet. Instead of living, we were surviving. This rusty van was our home. I helped Mom whenever I had time. We cleaned the houses of wealthy people. Basically, I was a maid, but not an ordinary one. I knew all the etiquette rules. Mom raised me like a princess. She often told me our family's tragic history. I used to be married to an aristocrat. Your dad was handsome like a movie star and rich like a prince. But when I got pregnant, he suddenly passed away. His shameless relatives took all my money and threw me out of the house. I had to move to another city and become a cleaner. She raised me like a lady because she believed that one day justice would prevail and we would rejoin high society. It's a beautiful fairy tale, isn't it? Unfortunately, none of it was real. My mom had, how do I put it? Issues. Her life was so hard. Sometimes she escaped into a fantasy land. Mom made up that story and eventually believed it herself. I was sure of it because there was no proof that any of Mom's words were true. I also found discharge papers from a psychiatric hospital. Apparently, Mom had been treated there just before I was born. As for the etiquette rules, she knew them so well because she'd been working for aristocrats for years. The day this story began, Mom wasn't feeling well, so I went to work without her. We were hired by a rich girl's parents for her birthday party. The girl's name was Lucy. Lucy the Devil Brown. Not exaggerating. She really was a fiend. Lucy even treated her own parents like dirt. When they gave her a brand new car, that psycho threw a tantrum because she didn't like its color. Can you imagine? I wanted a purple car, but this one's pink. Oh, you're terrible parents. When I finished cleaning up and asked for the payment, Lucy burst out laughing like she was possessed by a demon. Oh, the lowly maid wants money. All right, here it is. See? I told you she was insane. Mom always taught me to keep a cool head, but Lucy woke up my dark side. The party was still in full swing when I snuck into Lucy's room and used her lipstick to get back at her. Oh, you look just like your father with that mustache, Lucy. I got so carried away I didn't even notice that there was someone in the dressing room. This is... You're probably wondering what I'm doing. It's pretty obvious you're stealing Lucy's jewelry. Right. You aren't gonna scream? No, do whatever you want. That witch doesn't deserve it. I only said that because I was still pissed off. To my surprise, the guy pulled off his mask, took the lipstick from my hand, and painted something on the wall. This is my symbol. Who are you? Instead of answering, he simply looked at me. Oh, holy cats. His eyes were as black as night, and he felt like he looked straight into my soul. Right after that, he escaped through the window. I didn't stay there long either. That night, I couldn't fall asleep, and I kept thinking about that mysterious stranger. Who was he, and what did his symbol mean? I Googled it, and here's what I found out. The guy who used that symbol called himself Avenger. He was sort of like a modern Robin Hood. He stole from the rich and gave to the poor. I didn't approve of what he was doing, but I couldn't deny he'd left a deep mark on my life. My classmates turned out to also be obsessed with Avenger. They even watched videos of some blogger who dreamed of discovering Avenger's real identity at school.
Take a good look. Avenger might be one of your friends.
Hey Madison, are you Avenger?
Why would you think that?
Well, Avenger hates rich people. And your family is so poor, you and your mom take turns wearing the same dress.
Ugh. I wanted to take my textbook and teach that jerk some manners. But Mom had raised me well, so I held back and I smiled at him sweetly. Well, I'm not. Is it hard playing detective with a brain as tiny as yours? That evening, someone knocked on the door of our van. I opened it, and my blood ran cold.
Some of Lucy Brown's expensive jewelry was stolen during a party yesterday. She filed a report.
I didn't steal anything.
Calm down. We know that Avenger did it. We saw his symbol on the wall. He always leaves it at his crime scenes.
What do you want from me then?
We're interviewing everyone who was at the party yesterday. Did you see anyone suspicious there?
I didn't know what to say. On the one hand, stealing was bad. But on the other hand, Avenger could use that psycho's jewelry to help some poor people. In the end, I decided to cover for him and told the cops that I hadn't seen anyone weird.
Let us know if you remember anything.
Of course, officer.
Who was that?
They had the wrong address. Do we have any food?
Sorry, the fridge is empty. But I found out about a place where we can get some food and clothes for free.
Let's go. There's no such thing as a free lunch. Let's just work and make more money.
Madison, I know your classmates make fun of you because of your clothes. I'm sorry. I wish I was better at providing for you.
Don't say that! You're doing your best.
Oh dear. I wish your father could see what a wonderful lady you've become.
Oh no, Mom was at it again. I needed to distract her before she could start talking about her fantasy world again. So I agreed to go with her to the place where poor people could get freebies. Soon, we found ourselves in an abandoned factory. Inside, it looked like a store. There were groceries and clothes on the shelves, but we didn't have to pay for any of it. Everyone just took what they needed most.
Is this your first time here?
It is. Is this your charity?
Yeah, my name's Lucas. Come find me if you need any help.
I'd heard that velvety voice before. I looked at Lucas's face, and he stared back at me. His eyes went wide, and he quickly turned away. But it was too late. I recognized him. I would have recognized those piercing dark eyes anywhere. The second Mom turned away, I came up to him. So, this is Avenger's secret lair, huh?
You recognize me?
It wasn't hard.
Yes, I am Avenger. I steal from the rich, and I use the money to buy all sorts of things for the poor. I know what you're thinking. Oh, he's so noble and dangerous.
Wake me up when you're done with your little speech.
Wait, don't you admire me?
Admire a criminal? Are you aware that the police are looking for you? Stealing from bad people like Lucy is still wrong.
Why did you ruin her photos if you're such a saint?
I was just mad at her. It's not the same thing. We argued for a long time, but soon I got tired of it. I won't turn you into the police, but I hope our paths will never cross again. With those words, I took Mom's hand and said I wanted to leave.
But Madison, we haven't taken anything yet.
These things were bought with stolen money. Let's go.
So her name is Madison. She's pretty wild.
We were walking down the street when Mom froze like a statue and pointed at a wealthy couple near an expensive boutique. What is it?
I can't believe it. That's Mrs. Bennett, your father's sister, and next to her is her husband. They took everything from me and kicked me out of the family mansion so I couldn't get any of the money my husband left me. Have they moved to our city? I need to talk to them.
Oh, dang it. Mom's temporary insanity struck again. I tried, but failed to stop her from going up to that rich couple.
You bastards. Look at what happened to me because of your greed.
Lady, you are clearly not in your right mind. This is the first time I'm seeing you. I'm sorry. She's not all there. Mom, let's go.
No, I'm going to make these scumbags remember me.
She grabbed Mrs. Bennett's hair and they got into a full-on brawl. I was horrified because I wasn't expecting that from Mom. Soon, cops arrived and managed to pull them apart. After that, Mom was brought to a police station. Once we got there, she immediately told them all about her past as an aristocrat. The cops didn't buy her story and sent her to a psychiatric hospital so she could get some help. It hurt to see Mom in a state like that, and I tried to get her to come to her senses. Mom, please, just admit you made it all up.
No, Madison, I'm tired of everyone thinking I'm crazy. It's true. I didn't make anything up.
I couldn't just leave Mom there, and I went to her doctor's office to find out if there was anything I could do.
If Mr. and Mrs. Bennett don't press charges against your mother, I could prescribe her sedatives and let her go home.
That was perfect! I googled the address of that couple, and I arrived at their mansion. Wow, I knew they were rich, but it still surprised me how rich. Movers were carrying furniture into the mansion. Apparently, Mr. and Mrs. Bennett had only moved recently. Bring it into the living room. Be careful, it's marble. Good afternoon, Mrs. Bennett.
You're that psycho's daughter.
What do you want? My mom is not a psycho, but she is a bit troubled. Please don't press charges against her so I can take her home from the psychiatric hospital.
Not a chance!
She belongs there.
Let Sandy rot in the loony bin. She should have learned her lesson the first time around.
The first time? Do you know my mom? Is this an interrogation? You're on private property. Get out of here. I'm not leaving until you answer my question.
Is that how you want to play?
Fine. Security! I was so confused. If Mr. and Mrs. Bennett had known Mom for a long time, did that mean her stories were real? So Mom wasn't crazy at all. I resolved to get into the Bennett's mansion and get to the bottom of it. To do that, I climbed over the fence and... Oops! Good boy. I'm not here to hurt anyone. I'm just gonna take a quick look around, okay? I gently scratched the dog behind the ear, and he immediately stopped growling at me. Even angry beasts can be tamed if you treat him with kindness. That's when I heard a familiar melody. Spellbound, I followed the sound and found myself in a greenhouse. Moonlight flows like silk, and you close your eyes. Go to sleep, my baby. Listen to the stars. How do you know this song? My mom used to sing it to me. That's impossible. I wrote this lullaby for my son, and he only sang it to his pregnant wife. But my poor son died before he could hold his child in his arms. So who are you? My name is Madison. My son wanted to name his daughter Madison. My head was spinning. I asked the old lady what happened to her granddaughter because I had a terrible suspicion. I don't know. Right after my son's funeral, his pregnant wife ran away with another man. I never saw my granddaughter. I suddenly felt weak and fell to my knees. Mom didn't run away with another man. Your daughter and her husband, Mr. Bennett, kicked her out of the house and locked her in a psychiatric hospital. What? What's your mom's name? Sandy Anderson. Are you really my granddaughter? I've been looking for you for years. We spent a long time crying tears of joy and hugging. Then, Grandma called her daughter and her husband. Madison told me the truth. Her mother didn't run away with another man. You chased her away. And you believed this imposter? With one last angry look from them, Grandma brought me to a clinic and we did a DNA test. As soon as the results confirmed I was her granddaughter, she disinherited Mr. and Mrs. Bennett and kicked them out of the mansion. Then, she got Mom out of the psychiatric hospital and we moved in with Grandma. A new chapter of our lives began. I told you justice would prevail. I didn't want for anything anymore, but I still remembered how hard being poor had been. So, one day, I packed some things I wanted to donate and came to Avenger's lair. To my surprise, there was a commotion there when I arrived. Lucas was being arrested right in front of me. The cops had finally figured out the identity of the mysterious Avenger. It was all over social media. I knew I should just forget about him, but I couldn't help myself and I went to see Lucas at the police station. I could bail you out, but you need to promise me you'll stop stealing. There are like a million other ways to help people.
Madison, where would you get the money for bail?
Let's just say my rich grandma left me an inheritance.
Really? Aren't all rich people evil goblins? Oh, you just blew my mind, Madison.
Lucas agreed to my condition. After he was released on bail, he did community service to return everything he'd stolen. I don't know how it happened, but we started to spend every evening together. Did we become an item? No, but was I in love with Lucas? Head over heels. That rebel's captivating black eyes and noble character made butterflies flutter in my stomach. My favorite moment happened during our walk in the rose garden.
My parents died in an accident. It was the fault of an arrogant millionaire. I almost lost my mind from grief. That's how Avenger was born.
But you're done with that now, aren't you?
I am, and it's all thanks to you.
I will never forget our first kiss. At that moment, I felt like nothing bad would happen to us again, but fate had other plans. One night, I was woken up by a noise and went out into the hallway. Lucas?
Madison, I didn't know this was your house.
Are you back at it?
I'm sorry. I tried to change my ways, but I can't give up on my principles or stop getting revenge on the rich.
Well, I have principles too. I called security. Lucas looked at me with infinitely sad eyes.
I get it, Madison. It's a shame we live in different worlds. Goodbye. I will never forget you.
Our security guards called the police. I honestly told the cops Avenger had broken into my house. They promised to find him, but Lucas seemed to have vanished into thin air. He must have fled to another city. Several months went by. Mom, Grandma, and I were happy. Slowly, my broken heart started to heal. And one day, I found a rose on our porch from the garden where Lucas and I had our first kiss. I hugged it to my chest and looked around. Lucas probably wanted to let me know he's fine. I really missed him, but I knew we could never be together. After all, Lucas didn't understand one simple thing. It's not money that makes a person bad, but their actions. Madison, don't stand in the wind, you'll get sick. Let's have some tea. I baked a pie. God, I love you.